What if the thing holding you back from your next move isn't the market? What if it's the way you're thinking about your money? Because most people don't have a money problem, they have a clarity problem. I hear this all the time. I should probably stay put. I don't want to give up my rate. Or maybe we wait another year. And maybe you felt this too, that quiet tension between knowing your life has shifted, but not being sure what to do with the house you're in. If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. This episode is about money, equity, and choosing a home that actually fits the life you're living now, especially here in North Jersey. Today, I want to walk you through what I call your 2026 equity checkup. Not a spreadsheet moment, a clarity moment. We're going to unpack the difference between having equity and using it well, how money decisions get tangled up with emotion inside a home, why the home you want next often has less to do with the market and more to do with timing and alignment, and how North Jersey homeowners are quietly repositioning right now without blowing up their lives. Let me show you what this actually looks like in real life. It was late fall, one of those North Jersey afternoons where the light feels softer earlier than you'd expect. Leaves half off the trees, half still hanging on. We were standing in a friend's driveway in Oakland, coffee cups in hand, jackets zipped but not all the way. You know, those perfect days when it didn't feel like you were somewhere in the Arctic. The house itself was beautiful, well cared for, lived in. You could feel it. But there was this pause, that moment where no one is talking, but everything is being said. Finally, she said it. I just don't know if moving makes financial sense anymore. It's something I hear a lot given the state of our local real estate market over the last few years. It's not because they couldn't afford to move. It's not because they didn't want something different, but because the conversation had narrowed to one number, and that was the rate. You know that feeling when a single detail starts to run the whole story? They had equity, a lot of equity, years of paying down the mortgage, rising values, smart decisions. But in their minds, that equity was frozen, untouchable, almost imaginary. We walked through the house, the kitchen where homework used to happen, the dining room that hosted every holiday, the basement that had quietly become storage space instead of useful space. Here's what stood out. The house still worked on paper, but it didn't work for their life anymore. That's when the real conversation started. Based on recent closings and what I'm seeing across parts of Bergen County right now, we're in a season where equity is doing more heavy lifting than rates. For many North Jersey homeowners, equity has become a quiet advantage. One number matters here, not the headlines and not the noise. It's how much flexibility your equity gives you, and most people don't actually stop to calculate that emotionally or strategically. So let's slow this down. First, equity isn't just a number, it's leverage, and leverage doesn't force decisions, it gives you control. If you've built meaningful equity, you're not starting from zero on your next chapter. You're carrying momentum with you. That can mean a smaller loan, a different price point, or simple breathing room that didn't exist when you first bought your current home. Here's the part most people overlook. Equity doesn't demand you move. It gives you options. Second, money decisions inside a home are rarely just about money. They're about fear, regret, and not wanting to feel like you're making the wrong move. I often hear, what if we sell and regret it? Far more than what if we stay and outgrow this house? But staying has a cost too. It's just quieter. It shows up as unused rooms, weekends spent maintaining instead of living, and a constant sense of almost. Next, the home you actually want is usually clearer than you think. When I ask homeowners what they want more of, the answers are consistent. More ease, more proximity, more alignment with how their days actually look now. Less upkeep, less wasted space, and less emotional weight tied to rooms that no longer fit. This is where timing comes in. It wasn't the market holding that Oakland family back. It was the belief that they had to wait for perfect conditions instead of planning for the right ones. Once we mapped out their equity, they could see their options. They didn't need to rush. They did not need to stretch. They just needed clarity. Here's what I'm seeing across North Jersey right now. Homeowners are making quieter moves. They're downsizing thoughtfully, not dramatically. Some are even relocating within the same town to simplify. They're buying something that may need a little updating because it gives them financial breathing room. This isn't about chasing appreciation. It's about designing a life that feels lighter. Yes, it remains challenging in today's market, but it can be done. So here's your 2026 equity checkup, simplified. Know your real numbers, not a headline, estimate, or a guess, but a grounded range that reflects your specific home and location. Separate your past decision from your next one. The house you bought years ago did its job. That doesn't mean it has to do every job forever. Define what you actually want next before you talk yourself out of it. Space, location, lifestyle. Write it down before fear gets the upper hand. And remember this, good moves don't come from pressure. They come from perspective, which brings us back to the beginning. It wasn't the rate that was the problem. It was the story. And once the story changed, the options were there the whole time. Whether staying put still serves you or your equity could support a life that feels lighter, this is a conversation worth having. No pressure, just clarity. Subscribe to our podcast if you want to keep having these conversations. And if this episode brought someone specific to mind, send it to them. Sometimes hearing it out loud helps because the right move isn't about timing, it's about clarity. I'm Betty Russo, and I will see you in the next episode.